Cleopatra VII Philopator, or simply just Cleopatra, was one of the most influential and powerful female figures in history. Her story has become so iconic that it has been adapted into everything from theater, films, and even video games. Primarily known for her divine beauty and relationships with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, this Egyptian pharaoh is easily one of history's biggest sex symbols. Yet, Cleopatra was so much more than just a pretty face. Instead, she was overwhelmingly cunning and very intelligent, which in turn made her a force to be reckoned with. Before we start the video, there's just a couple things I like to note. In regards to years, I use BCE, which stands for Before Common Era. This is used instead of the outdated term BC, in other words, before Christ. Not everyone is Christian, and this is the more universal term used in academia now. Additionally, there are a lot of names, dates, and places referenced in this video, so if anything is confusing at all to you, please feel free to drop a comment down below, and I'd be happy to answer it to the best of my abilities. Another point, some details of Cleopatra's life were cut from this video to save on time. Cleopatra is a massive historical figure, and there's a lot of history on her. Therefore, to compress it into a shorter video, I had to cut some things. So, like the last point, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop a comment down below. Finally, considering her tomb has not yet been found, there are very few hieroglyphics/pieces of art depicting Cleopatra from the ancient Egyptian world. Therefore, I had to use a lot of pictures from the media, so for example, the 1963 Elizabeth Taylor film, Cleopatra, and the 2017 video game, Assassin's Creed Origins. Now, to properly tell Cleopatra's story, you first need to backtrack about 300 years prior to Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great is actually the reason Cleopatra and her family ascended to the throne in the first place. So, to be brief, when Alexander the Great died in 323 BCE, his vast empire was divided up into sections and given to his generals. Egypt was given to a man named Ptolemy, who is the ancestor of Cleopatra. What that means is that past 323 BCE, Egypt is primarily ruled by the Greeks. The pharaohs are no longer Egyptians. Therefore, to settle an age-old question, Cleopatra was not Egyptian. Rather, she was Greek. Cleopatra was either born around 69 or 70 BCE in Alexandria, Egypt. Being the daughter of the pharaoh, she was given the best of everything. Furthermore, she was given an education, which was practically unheard of for so many people in the ancient world. Cleopatra could both read and write and spoke at least 7 to 12 languages. She was well versed in mathematics, philosophy, astrology, and even chemistry. Therefore, it's safe to say she was brilliant. In 51 BCE, Cleopatra's father, Ptolemy XII, died, and the throne was passed to Cleopatra and her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII. As was custom at the time, the two siblings were married. Cleopatra was 18 years old, while her brother Ptolemy was only 10. After their rise to power, Ptolemy and his advisors plotted against Cleopatra for complete control over the throne. As a result of this, Cleopatra was forced to flee to the neighboring country of Syria. Cleopatra spent a year in exile, and during that time, she built up an army of mercenaries to help her in her war against her brother. So once her army was ready, she returned to Egypt to reclaim the throne for herself. By the time she got back to Egypt, it was the year 50 BCE, and little did she know, she wouldn't be the only high-profile official coming into the country at that time, for Roman general Julius Caesar was also coming. To make a long story short, due to a massive political dispute in the Roman Senate, both Julius Caesar and Pompey the Great were at war with each other. Pompey asked Egyptian Pharaoh Ptolemy XIII for help in this matter, but Ptolemy had other plans. Knowing Caesar was the better of the two generals, Ptolemy didn't want to make an enemy of him. So, he refused Pompey's request. Except, instead of just telling Pompey no, Ptolemy ordered him to be assassinated. Ptolemy had Pompey's head cut off as a gift for Caesar, but this gift backfired on the Egyptian pharaoh and just made Caesar mad instead. It turns out that Caesar actually never planned on killing Pompey, as the two used to be friends. Therefore, Ptolemy was not off to a good start with the Roman general. At the exact same time that Ptolemy was having a meeting with Caesar at the royal palace in Alexandria, Cleopatra dramatically bursted into the room. How exactly she got past the guards is still up for debate, but one theory suggests that she smuggled herself into the palace rolled up into a carpet or even a sack. Either way, Cleopatra knew how to make an entrance. The reason Cleopatra bursted into this meeting was that she wanted an alliance with Caesar, exactly like her brother Ptolemy did. An alliance with Caesar was an alliance with Rome, which was one of the most powerful countries in the world at the time. Nobody really knows what unfolded in that meeting that day. However, what is known is that Caesar did not side with Ptolemy, but sided with Cleopatra instead. So began one of history's greatest alliances. But more importantly, what also began was one of history's greatest romances. Fast forward some time, and it's now 47 BCE. Caesar and Cleopatra have defeated Ptolemy and his forces during the siege of Alexandria. In the midst of the battle, Ptolemy attempted to escape, but ultimately died by drowning in the Nile River. He was only 15 years old when he died. Many would think, with Ptolemy out of the picture, the throne would automatically be passed down to Cleopatra. However, this was not the case, as it really went to Caesar instead. While Cleopatra assisted in Ptolemy's downfall, it was really Caesar and his forces that defeated him. Therefore, Rome had conquered Egypt. Needless to say, Caesar was not popular with the Egyptians. That said, Caesar restored the throne to Cleopatra, and her reign had officially begun. Even though her family had ruled Egypt for years, Cleopatra proved to be just as unpopular as Caesar was when he ruled the country. Regardless of this fact, Cleopatra had finally gotten what she always wanted: power. Yet, that power would only last so long, and soon enough, Cleopatra would become Egypt's last pharaoh. Curious what happens to Cleopatra from here? Stay tuned for the next video that I'll deal with Cleopatra's relationship with Roman general Mark Antony, as well as her final days before her death. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, feel free to hit that like button and even subscribe to our channel, as it would mean a lot. Alright, see you next time.